3 cities, 3 competing electrical systems, 3 independent efforts to power urban centers in the late 19th century. They had no reason to collaborate, in fact, they actively competed. Yet when you place their underground infrastructure maps side by side, you find the same baffling anomaly. A second, older network running beneath the newly laid grids. That's not a coincidence. Or if it is, it's the most precisely targeted coincidence in American urban planning history. The official record of urban development in late 19th century America is a story of innovation, competition, and ultimately, electrification. We're taught about Westinghouse and Edison, AC versus DC, the race to light up cities like New York, Boston, and Chicago. And for a long time, I accepted that narrative. It's a compelling story of progress, of overcoming technological hurdles, of bringing light and power to the masses. The official histories detail the struggles with nascent municipal regulations, the rapid expansion of overhead wires, and the eventual move underground as these grids expanded. They talk about the scale of the challenge, the ingenuity required to lay miles of copper cable, build power stations, and connect homes and businesses. The problem was largely one of logistics, raw material, and engineering expertise. They explain how the sheer volume of new infrastructure often led to a chaotic tangle of wires above ground, prompting the push for subterranean systems. This account paints a picture of a gradual, organic evolution driven by market demand and technological advancement. It's a coherent narrative, backed by countless historical documents, patents, and engineering schematics of the period. Here is where the official record does something I've come to recognize. It narrows. If you follow the thread further, and I want to be precise about how far I'm following it, you find a series of municipal planning documents, tucked away in the archives of the city of Boston, specifically in the ledgers covering infrastructure proposals from 1878 to 1885. These weren't widely published. They were internal memorandums, council notes, and preliminary survey maps. What they show are proposals for routing new electrical conduits around existing, undocumented subterranean networks. There are sketches, often crude, denoting prior conduits or non-standard excavations that intersect with proposed new paths. The language is curious. Align new conduits to avoid intersection with prior works. Excavation report notes presence of vitrified clay conduits not attributable to known sewer or water lines. These are not descriptions of defunct gas lines or early telegraph cables, which are meticulously catalogued elsewhere in the same period's documents. These are descriptions of asterisk electrical infrastructure, just not the kind that was ever officially planned for construction in the period. The engineers never finish those sentences. They note the presence, they account for it in their new plans, and then they move on without identifying its origin or purpose. Baltimore, same decade, same problem, but a completely different set of actors, engineers, and municipal bodies. The Mercantile Trust and Deposit Company's initial plans for their new financial district, circa 1888, include detailed underground mapping. These weren't public documents, but private contractual agreements for the construction of vaults and access tunnels. They, too, mark unidentified electrical conduits and non-standard utility ways that had to be rerouted or sealed off. The specificity of the terminology used to differentiate these from known water, gas, or sewer lines is startling. One archived letter from a consulting engineer, a Mr. Alastair Finch, to the Mercantile Trust president, describes a gridwork of aged, insulated copper lines, running parallel to the proposed streetcar lines, but far predating any records of such construction. Finch noted the lines appeared to terminate at equally anomalous underground chambers, which were, in his estimation, not for drainage nor habitation. Finch was paid to route around them, not to investigate them. He delivered the technical specifications, and the financial institution accepted the anomaly, paid the extra cost, and never spoke of it again in public record. This is the moment the argument changes category. It's not the isolated discovery of an old pipe in Boston. It's not the baffling conduits noted in a private Baltimore contract. It's that Boston, Baltimore, and then Chicago, sourced independently, across a decade, from politically competing and commercially hostile institutions, all acknowledge the existence of a prior, sophisticated electrical grid, one that left no official traces in the histories of those cities. Alastair Finch didn't consult for the city of Boston. Boston engineers didn't exchange notes with Chicago's burgeoning utility companies. They were operating in separate spheres, yet they all encountered and documented, through their evasive language and routing choices, the same anomaly. I'm not arguing that Alastair Finch was part of a secret society. What the evidence suggests is a distributed phenomenon, an existing infrastructure that engineers who had no reason to conspire all encountered and were forced to work around. The consistency of their encounters, absent any documented cross-communication, indicates a pervasiveness that challenges the established narrative of simultaneous and independent grid development. I want to return to those non-standard excavations described in the Boston documents. At the time I mentioned it, it seemed incidental. It isn't. The vitrified clay conduits, the insulated copper lines, these weren't simple, ad hoc constructions. They speak to a level of materials science and engineering that, according to the official record, simply didn't exist en masse in urban America before the 1880s. I'm not arguing for a lost civilization powered by crystals. What the evidence suggests is an organized, technologically advanced electrical infrastructure that predates the known efforts by decades, possibly even centuries, and was intentionally circumvented or covered up during the rapid expansion of the modern electrical grid. So who laid these lines? What powered them? And why, when the nation was scrambling for electrification, was an existing framework not integrated but buried? The silence is more specific than the findings. The engineers noted it, paid to root around it, and then it disappeared from the record. Not gradually, not through neglect, through a very specific sequence of construction projects that layered a new, known system directly over an older, unknown one. The question isn't whether this occurred. The question is who decided you shouldn't know it was there.